You are about to listen to the words of Fethullah Gulen, a distinguished Islamic scholar and thinker. In this podcast, you will hear his essay, A Woman from a Spiritual Point of View.
In terms of her inner constitution, a woman is a monument of compassion. Her compassion stems from her creation and innate disposition. If this pure nature remains untainted by external interference, she will always think with compassion, speak with compassion, and act with compassion. She embraces those around her with boundless care, offering them cup after cup of tenderness. And as she showers others with her warmth, her own heart quietly swells with sorrow, carrying the weight of their pain. Like a delicate veil, she trembles with concern over those close to her, her parents, siblings, friends, and relatives, and when the time comes, her spouse and children. She shares in their joys, blossoming like a rose, spreading smiles and laughter around her. Yet when she sees sorrow in them, she withers like autumn leaves, sighing in grief. She longs to see beauty and to be surrounded by harmony, but at times she does not find what she seeks. There are moments when the winds blow fiercely, shaking everything dear to her heart. In those times she wanders in silent anguish, burdened with unspoken pain. Anxiety wells up within her, and she quietly breathes through her tears. Yet at other times she is surrounded by wonders that make her rejoice like a child, and she pours happiness into the cups of all those around her. A woman who has found her true companion and whose soul finds fulfillment in her children is akin to the maidens of paradise, and the home she nurtures becomes a reflection of that paradise on earth. In such a home, where love and tenderness flow freely, children grow up savoring kindness, and their spirits shine with an ethereal radiance. A person raised in such an environment will carry within them the fragrance of paradise, spreading joy to all who cross their path. Even though the members of such a home may appear as separate individuals, the soul that governs them is one. This soul, emanating from the woman and encompassing the entire home, is like an unseen force, ever present and guiding. A blessed woman whose heart remains unclouded and whose spirit is unimpeded is like the North Star, steadfast in her place, turning upon her own axis while the family orbits around her. The other members of the home take their places in relation to her, their movements shaped by an unspoken devotion. While others may come and go, their ties to the home remain temporary and relative. But the woman, regardless of whether she holds an external profession or not, stands unwavering at the heart of the household, her compassion and love simmering in its very center, offering nourishment not only for the body, but for the soul. A woman whose thoughts and feelings are entirely oriented towards eternity can inspire in a way that no master or teacher can. She adorns our hearts with the most exquisite calligraphy of meaning, strokes of wisdom that time cannot erase. Through the deep reservoirs of her inner world, she grants us the spiritual wealth that will sustain us in all our future endeavors. In the presence of such a perfect woman, we feel the mercy and poetry of the unseen world pouring into our souls, and we breathe deeply in its joy. A woman, particularly in her role as a mother, is as vast as the heavens, and within her heart, thoughts and emotions swirl as abundantly as the stars. She is always in harmony with her fate, at peace with both joy and sorrow, closed to hatred and enmity, and devoted to the revival and enrichment of life. She is the purest essence of divine grace on earth. A fortunate woman who has opened the doors of her heart to eternity stands in a luminous realm beyond imagination, where the physical and the spiritual converge in perfect unity. Compared to the brilliance of this eternal dignity, even the highest praises and honors we might bestow upon her are but flickering candles in the light of her true radiance. In our understanding, a woman is the most vivid color in the grand design of creation, the most fertile and wondrous pillar of humanity, the flawless reflection of heaven's beauty in our homes, and the strongest guarantee of our existence and endurance. Before she was created, Prophet Adam was alone, the ecosystem was without a soul, imagined humanity was on the brink of collapse, the home was nothing more than a hollow cave, and man was imprisoned within the confines of his own transient life. But with her, a second pole was established, and existence found balance. A new voice and image brought life to creation, completing the order of being. Humanity transformed, and in so doing, woman became the bearer of values beyond values. It is true that physiologically and psychologically, a woman possesses a distinct nature and unique characteristics. Yet, this does not signify inferiority or superiority between men and women. If we were to compare them to elements in the air, they are like nitrogen and oxygen, both essential, each with its own role, and both equally dependent on one another, just as it would be absurd to argue whether nitrogen or oxygen is more valuable. So too is it meaningless to draw comparisons between men and women. They are two inseparable faces of a single reality, created with distinct yet complementary missions in this world. As a poet once wrote, "Man needs woman, youth needs old age, the bow needs the arrow. Everything in the world is in need of one another." But has woman always been recognized for her true worth throughout history? Sadly, no. In some cultures, women were deprived of the most basic rights, denied marriage, inheritance, and even the smallest human dignities. Some regarded her as more dangerous than storms, death, venom, or serpents. Elsewhere, she was seen as an overly emotional creature to be avoided, one whose very presence was thought to demand distance. In certain lands, men ruled absolutely, and daughters were treated as mere servants, sometimes even sold into slavery by their own fathers. Elsewhere, women were not given names but were called by numbers or seen as little more than objects for reproduction. Even some of the greatest philosophers contributed to these degrading views, calling women the gatekeepers of hell, unfinished men, or obstacles preventing men from attaining divinity. But Islam, with its eternal message, restored women's dignity and granted them legal and moral protection. The Qur'an declares, "Women have rights similar to those of men," leaving no room for misinterpretation. It restored women to their rightful place in the divine plan of creation. In his final sermon, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized, "I advise you to treat women with kindness and fear God concerning them, for they are entrusted to you by God." In an era when women were treated as commodities to be bought and sold, these words marked a monumental shift in history. The Qur'an and the Sunnah are so clear in their affirmation of women's rights that to say Islam liberated women from captivity would not be an exaggeration. Indeed, even fair-minded scholars from the West have acknowledged this truth. The historian G. de Montaigne stated, "The Quran's principles regarding women's rights are even more progressive than the modern laws of Europe." Similarly, Stanley Lane Poole remarked, "No legal system has achieved what Islam has in terms of granting rights to women." Another scholar, Elie Obald, noted, "Only Islam was able to liberate women from enslavement and return to them their long-denied rights. Yes, God created woman not as a subordinate, but as an equal partner to man. Adam could not be without Eve, nor could Eve be without Adam. Together they bore witness to creation and became the first interpreters of existence. They were two bodies with a single soul, representing different yet complementary aspects of the same truth. Over time, crude perspectives and harsh thinking disrupted this harmony. With its decline, both family life and social order fell into disorder. As the great Sufi poet Ibn Farid expressed, "The beauty of man and woman is but a reflection of the divine beauty." These two marvels of creation, when they stand hand in hand and shoulder to shoulder, attain an even greater beauty. But when we misinterpret their roles and reduce their essence to the physical, we diminish their true brilliance. As long as a woman remains aware of her inner depths and remains true to her nature, she will be a radiant mirror reflecting the fundamental beauties of existence. And those who gaze upon her reflection will find themselves freed from the shadows of the material world, ascending to the horizons of divine beauty, whispering in their hearts, "The sun of fleeting beauty will one day set and fade away, but I am the lover of the everlasting beauty. I do not love what sets."
You have just listened to the words of Fethullah Gulen, brought to life through an AI-generated voice. Known for his teachings on faith, interfaith dialogue, peace, and education, Mr. Gulen also inspired the Hizmet movement, a global initiative that promotes democracy, human rights, equality, and nonviolence. To learn more about Fethullah Gulen and the Hizmet movement, visit fgulen.com.